Welcome back to the Leadership Lab, the show where we explore leadership, innovation, human potential, purposeful career. Today's guest blends corporate experience with coaching to help professionals build fulfilling careers and lead with intention. Patrick Dedrick is a certified active coach and founder of Progress Over Perfection Coaching and a seasoned professional with experience in organizational operations. Patrick, welcome. To
Thanks for having
start,
me.
tell us a bit about yourself and what you're building with Progress, Over Perfection Coaching, and what you're doing in your career as well with your Royal Canin.
My career's kind of been through a bit of a change recently. So I started my career out of grad school,
Yeah.
focused on supply chain. So I spent about 15 years in supply chain and kind of through my own self-discovery decided that coaching was what I wanted to do. So kind of got to a point where I was moving in one direction with my career through supply chain and was finding some success in certain areas, but was finding maybe I wasn't feeling as fulfilled as I was hoping. So kind of branched out a little bit, found kind of the cornerstones of what I like to coach around now in terms of finding a fulfilling career, and kind of got into coaching that way. And then more recently, kind of shifted away from supply chain and operations into kind of an HR background. So trying to find a way to fuse
Oh,
more of what I love about coaching into kind of the work that I've already been doing. So trying to find a way to not make an entire pivot, but to try and find the best of both worlds.
that's interesting. So which section in HR exactly? You've been working like a journalist?
So in like a business partner, kind of a strategic business partner kind of role. So a lot of partnering with leaders. So a lot of aspects of what coaching entails through an organizational standpoint. So a lot of org design, but then also a bit of dabbling into some of the generalist space. But the organization I work for is very, very specific about how the HR organization is broken up.
I
So I like to focus on that strategic partnering.
see. All right. So, can you share more about your journey brought you to start Progress Over Perfection coaching?
Yeah, I think for me it was hit a point in my life where at the time I was working for Nike, and great opportunity, great company to work for, and went through kind of a life change or a life event, and it really got me questioning if I felt fulfilled waking up day after day. So very cool product to work for, very amazing people to work with, but
Yeah.
ultimately for what I was looking for in my career wasn't really finding that spark. So I think that's where I started to explore and where I found this idea of ikigai.
Mm.
So it's a pretty common term thrown around a lot now. About 12 years ago, I found it on LinkedIn, kind of through a different business kind of focus lens. But it's a Japanese term, and it really means kind of this purpose for living or this kind of like a meaning of life. So it's unique to
Yeah.
every person. It's largely cited as kind of being a cornerstone for kind of blue zone populations around the world, like really high concentration of centenarians, so people that live a long time. They found some kind of meaning in what they do. So it kind of helps them carry
Yeah.
on.
A
So
purpose.
a purpose, exactly. Yeah. And so this kind of like business career focus breakdown kind of breaks
Mhm.
down this ikigai into something that you're good at, something that you love to do, something that the world needs, and it's a career, so you've got to be paid for it. So it's again finding something that you enjoy doing that brings you joy and happiness, but also
Right.
that it connects you to a community. So you're not just doing something by yourself, but again, you're in service of somebody else, and there's a reason to keep going on besides just enjoying what you're doing. So I kind of went through my own evaluation of for myself of
Yeah.
those things and ended up steering me a couple of different other directions first, but then ultimately to coaching because I felt like that was what I really enjoyed doing. I enjoyed helping others come to these conclusions for themselves and kind of work through their own transformations and roadblocks to again help them find more meaning and fulfillment out of life.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, how do you describe your coaching focus to someone unfamiliar with your brand?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a certified coach through the coactive model and coactive philosophy. Um, And so a lot of that is very central to around thinking that or believing that every individual is creative, resourceful, and whole. They've got what they need. And coaching really isn't about telling somebody what to do. It's not teaching somebody. It's not, giving them a silver bullet, quick fix. Coaching is really about engaging with a coachee or a client, really
Yeah.
asking questions to provoke them to come up with their own solutions. So it's not therapy. It can be therapeutic, but it's not about just, hey, come and complain about everything and then, you feel good afterwards. Not that that's
It's
what
like
therapy is,
more
but
to
yeah.
long term thing. It's not just I'm just having this coaching session and I'm done. Like I'll do,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And I think that's kind of it's a language shift. Corporate environments that managers talk about, oh, I've got to go have a coaching conversation with somebody. And often that's I've got to go correct something. And to your point, it's that short term. They did something wrong. I've got to go coach them. That's applicable. Like you can coach somebody, but this kind of coaching is really more around, hey, what's something bigger that you're trying to get after? What's
Yeah,
something that you're trying to solve? Maybe you feel really stuck or you feel kind of out of place.
yeah.
How do you recenter around that? So again, it's a lot of probing questions, and it should be uncomfortable because again, you're transforming and you're changing. But so that's I don't know if that gets at what you're looking for.
Yeah, it answered very well. So, like, how does your corporate experience at Royal Canin influence your coaching style and content? Does it affect by any mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I think similar to my role in HR and business partnering, I think understanding the context that a lot of my coachees or my clients come from, it really helps them. And I think again, coaching isn't about needing to know all the details of the background. Like I don't need to know your life story or every detail of the situation that you're trying to work through. But I think it's that understanding that helps. It's that general context. So for
Right.
me, I think I do a lot of my coaching internal to the organization that I work for. And I think that it really helps to, kind of fast track a lot of the conversation because they don't feel obligated to explain a whole lot. And so it kind of gets rid of that awkwardness of me telling them I don't need to know this. Like, let's get on to what
Just an
it's about
overview, just
you.
to help. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the business context really helps again, if for no other reason than it gives the coachee or the client the sense of like, I don't need to go into this. So
Mhm.
it's maybe a little more convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, like, in regards to the industry and the career, like, what major shifts are you seeing in how professionals think about their careers today?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with um I don't know if we blame it on the gig economy or I mean, but I think it is very tends to be very short term.
Hmm.
I think the concept of a lifelong employer is really really hard to find, and I think it's generationally not something that people really think about. So I think trends that I'm seeing are kind of the length of time that individuals are willing to wait and invest in the change in their current context. Which is a delicate balance because you don't want to say, hey, the sunk cost fallacy, I've been here for so long, I can keep trying to change something. But at the same time, it shouldn't just be, I'm not getting exactly what I want right now. I'm going to go somewhere else and potentially, take two steps back. So I think that's one of the trends that I think is harder to wrestle with right now for a lot of individuals. It's this kind of instant gratification that I think is kind of ingrained in all of us lately with things. So are they willing to commit to that time
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, like,
change and kind of let it work its course?
I agree with you because even nowadays, like, actually the opportunities is just out there. It's so easy, just and accessible for everyone. So that makes it like there is kind of feeling like being kind of, let's say, we're not saying greedy or like they always look for the next
Yeah.
opportunity out there and they're missing what they've done. They're missing what they could do with this corporate or whatever they're growing through.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think it is this sense of, hey, I know where I want to go. I want to be, the vice president someday. So I've got to always keep moving in that direction. And I think you lose that sense of I've got to, before I get
Yeah.
my next job, but before anybody wants me for my next job, I should nail the job that I'm in first. And I think it's, it's creating a realistic plan, I guess. So it's not a
Mhm.
5-year plan. Maybe it's a 10-year plan. And it's maybe not the next role I get, it's maybe 3 roles. And I think being really intentional about that. As
Right.
I like to work with clients, it's how do you break down what it is that you want? What is that next step? You're not going to get everything in your next step. So, what's the critical experience or even just the point in your life? What is it that you need in the next role that you have? So, it's the long game, not just the what's in it for me today.
That's right. So, how has the conversation around hustle and productivity changed in the past few years?
It's funny because I think there's a lot of lip service around, and I'll take a step back. I think there was a big push, and there still is to a degree around, hey, I've got to work 24 hours a day, every day. I've always got to be on. It's that badge of honor of I sleep 2 hours a night. Like I've got 3 jobs. The more you do, kind of it's the virtue signaling of like, I'm super busy. I'm moving in the right direction. It's going to cause burnout. And I think so. There's a time and a place, and you can probably do that in short bursts, but it's not my opinion, a sustainable lifestyle. So I think the pendulum's kind of swung the other direction where there's a real attention, which is good to well-being and burnout prevention. But then I think in a corporate setting too, it's how do you temper that with Obviously, a corporation doesn't want somebody to burn out, but at the same time, there's still the reward for those that do extra. Or that, I mean, there's no
Yeah.
avoiding that. I think that long-term built-in sense of I see them logging on late. I know that they put in a ton of hours. That should be rewarded. So
Well,
it's
being
again,
in
I
the
think it
middle.
exactly. It's about meeting in the middle. It's knowing that there's a time and a place for certain things, and there's not
Yeah.
always, I'm going to do my 40 hours and then I'm not touching anything until I come in on Monday morning versus I'm never going to turn off. I'm going to be on my phone at the dinner table. I'm going to be reachable at all hours at night. So I think it's again, it's what are you working on? What's the season of life you're in and what's appropriate? And I think it's a lot of contracting too with, your manager or your leader and setting appropriate expectations.
I see. So, what do you think, like, what role does meaningful work and purpose play in leadership and career longevity?
Ooh, I mean, I think it's absolutely important to career longevity. I mean, I think it's without that, I think there comes a point where people end up asking themselves, like, what's the point? And I think you see it all the time on LinkedIn now, where it's hey, I used to be a C-suite level of executive, earning, seven, eight figures, all these fancy vacations. And then I decided I wanted to change it all. Like, and
They're
I
all
started
showing
back from,
off and they're all having tons
yeah.
of figures.
Exactly. But then they realize their post always ends with like, and then I realized what I really wanted was something else. So I think it's there's something to be said for that balance again between what you want or what you're good at, what the world needs, what you love to do, and like what you can be paid for. And I think you've got to find that balance where you probably have to over-index a little bit in terms of if you're looking for longevity into what you love to do and what you're good at. Those are the things that are going to keep you getting out of bed every day. So I think that's, to reflect back on myself, that's why coaching ended up being something that I wanted to pursue kind of on the side because I noticed I needed to supplement, what I was getting from, I've got my paycheck coming in, but I'm not necessarily getting these things. I need to
Yeah.
go find that somewhere else. So I think that's the dream. I think if everybody talks about their dream job, it's like, how do you align those four circles in this like perfect Venn diagram where they all overlap? I don't know a reason to not keep doing that if it ticks all those boxes. So for longevity, I think there's nothing better.
That's right. And actually, like you got a good point. Like even like pursuing both together, like you're actually doing the thing that you love, and you still completing in your career, like with Royal Canin and what you're doing right now. So that's the kind of the balance for to be in medium. Like you're still doing both of them.
Right. Yeah. And then back to the other point too, it's the matter of like, hey, finding the right balance where,
Yes.
it shouldn't be, hey, I've got to work 60 hours a week now. I mean, obviously my coaching work is on the side, so it's extra time. But again, it's that balance too, where this is how I spend my free time. This is my fun time. So I've got family time, and then this is the fun time that I allocate for myself. So it's maybe reframing where it's work, but if you really enjoy it, then it doesn't necessarily feel as much like work.
That's right.